What's up, Starcraft fans? Today we're doing the tier list for Warp Zone and Lock and Load. Brian, let's hear the mutation, or lack thereof.
Lock and Load is where we capture 5 spots on the map called locks. To capture, both allies must have a guy on it until it turns green. If the enemy gets a lock until it turns red, it starts a timer bar that ticks until we get it back, and fills faster the more locks he has. If the bar hits full, we lose. There are 3 mutators here, but they are such non-factors that I won't even mention them. In fact, you'll probably not notice them either.
We have Edwin, Home, and Joni in the call with us today. How are you guys?
Good, thank you.
Alright, Joni, how do we rank the commanders this week?
Well, yes, quite. I've been relatively strict and fussy with how I've ranked them this week, because otherwise we genuinely would be simply asking the question of how easy is the mutator, the response to which is very. So, from my point of view, it's 3 environmental mutators. There really is like no difference between the 3 of them in terms of the impact they have on how you play the map. So from my point of view, the simple question is how much do they affect you as a commander in terms of generally the size of the force that you are required to move around in order to do this. I've this week in particular, in order to basically just avoid everyone being an S tier, I've kind of specifically demarcated S tier is like really a triviality. Like everyone is affected to some extent by this because it's environmental.
Okay, what do you think, Edwin?
Yeah, the question of how do we rank the commanders this week is however we want. Really, there's not a lot of complexity here. It's a very easy set of mutators. I mean, 3 mutators and it's still only brutal +1, I think. So it's a very easy week. So yeah, I mean, having big armies is a little bit of a hit against you, but you should still be fine. So yeah, dense, smaller armies obviously always nice against environmentals, but it's going to be fine either way.
Okay, let's begin. Abathur, where do we have him?
Abathur is very good because brutalisks. The only slight difficulty with Abathur is getting your brutalist, but if you're good at that, which you should be if you're playing him, then it's smooth sailing. And yeah, I mean it'll be a very easy week for him. So I had him in S tier.
All right, what do you think, Joni?
Yeah, I've got him between S and A tier, and really the only reason there was even the query of having him in A tier is just because between 3 brutalisks and 3 leviathans, like there is still a relative amount of they just simply have like bigger hitboxes basically. But yeah, nothing I'm going to lose any sleep over, so I've got Abathur in S tier as well.
All right, let's put Abathur in S tier. There we go. Okay, moving on. Oh wait, prestige-wise, no prestige or second prestige?
Either one is fine.
Yeah, either one's absolutely fine.
All right, moving on. Alarak, where do we have him?
I mean, Alarak is not dissimilar in the sense that between the mothership, Alarak himself, and a few supplicants, you can basically clear the vast majority of what you need to here. He's got some nice little useful tack-ons, like putting, his warp prisms and such. You can then use to sort of defend locks if you are taking so long that you need to do that. But the reality to it is Abathur controls a relatively smallish sized sort of death ball that will just bimble around and do what it needs to. So I had him in A tier. I don't think he is still a commander that requires a semblance of an army. But if ET feels strongly the other way, then I'm not going to quibble over S either.
What do you think, Edwin?
Yeah, I mean he's just got Mama, and that's basically the only thing you need for the entire mission. So anything else is just the cherry on top. Basically, lock and load is not a hard mission in the first place. So I had him in S tier.
Okay. Is it S tier okay for you, Joni?
I'm fine with that. Yeah, I think this really is kind of baby's first brutation this week, and so it's sort of one of those ones that if you're and this is something which applies to all of the commanders in general, so I'm certainly not going to be quibbling over it. But if you are on top of things and really mechanically all over it, your micro's top notch, you're going to be able to rank them a bit higher. If your micro's not as good, you might want to rank them lower. But yeah, I'm perfectly happy to put Alarak in S tier.
All right. Let us do that then. 3rd prestige, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That was almost synchronized. Nice. I like that. Moving on. Arcturus. Where do we have him?
Arcturus is obviously very good, as always. You can drop bunkers, you have suicide troopers, so you have a very dense army potential, and Earth Splitters can hit basically everything, so it's super easy week. We're going to hear that a lot. Yeah, I had him in S tier as well.
All right. Well, what do you think, Joni?
Yeah, I was a bit less sort of happy with Arcturus this week.
Fool of a took. Throw yourself in next time and rid us of your stupidity.
Only because there is still going to be some requirement to like put material on the map in a manner which is either relatively static or relatively bunched up. You know, you are going to have to push with people at some point. I think. I mean, I appreciate, and I won't sort of labour the point, but I think this is one where you could potentially get away with playing P2 if you wanted to look at, you know, mass Royal Guard of some sort. Yeah, I was sort of, I had him in A tier, but, you know, P3 explosive troopers, P1, you know, heavy contaminated strike. He does have a lot of options here. I haven't had time to actually try it out with him, but I do wonder, you know, how much of a nuisance is it going to be to get out on the map with him compared to, you know, a Raynor or someone like that? Probably a bit easier, but yeah, I suppose he's got Dogs of War too. Yeah, he's got so many options here that I can't really. Doesn't seem reasonable to put him anywhere other than S tier, really, does it? Go on, let's have Arcturus in S tier as well. I've convinced myself.
That makes sense. Okay, both of you have Arcturus in S tier. Let's put Arcturus in S tier. Prestige wise, 3rd one.
Literally any,
Any?
I think.
Okay.
But yeah, I'd go 3rd personally.
All right. I would go with 3rd as well. Would you look at that? Moving on. Artanis. Where do we have him?
I mean, not S tier, I think. Although, actually, having sort of contemplated it again, I suspect he's actually not a million miles off either. Space Archons are really, really good. And you can clear out, you know, between Space Archons and Solar Bombardment, you know, there are really only 2 areas that you need to even worry about clearing out of any significant sort of hybrid presence here. So even though he is technically an army-based commander, you're not having to do a huge amount with it, really. And I suspect you may well be better off going for a few Tempests to push from range, despite the fact you're simply not going to be on the map for long enough to get too many of them, and effectively doing everything really with sort of P3 top bar, B tier. But again, I can be persuaded to go higher than that just because I think he's another one where you've got slow moving units on the map or a big ball of them.
What do you think, Espenholm?
I'm sort of embracing the sunken cost fallacy of if I put this many in S tier. I'm joking. I had him in A tier. I think, yeah, it's an easy week. Shield overcharge is great. The other big thing I didn't really emphasize because I was too busy memeing in my description of ranking is, only one of the mutators actually deals any damage to your units, and Twister is, as far as environmentals go, very low damage. So it's not even like it matters that much if you're getting hit by Twisters with like Dragoons because they have the increased shield regen. They're just not going to die anyways to Twister, and the time warp and stuff like that isn't really going to matter either. So I had him in A tier because you have your top bars to clear out, you have shield overcharge to help with any damage that you need to block, and it's just a very easy map as well. Like if it was a harder map, maybe, but yeah, I had him in A tier.
What do you think about A tier, Joni?
Yeah, I'm absolutely fine with that.
All right. Yeah, for those of you guys who are watching Arcturus for the first time, where have you been? Also, welcome. Also, the tiers mean something. We're not gonna put commanders in C just to levelize all the tiers to make sure every one of them has a guy in them. We put if it's a really easy mutation, then yes, it's possible to have a tier list where everyone's S or A, because that's how easy of a time you'll have with these commanders. Anyway, both of you agree with A tier. Let's put Artanis in A tier. Moving on, Dehaka. Where do we have him?
Dehaka is not S tier, but I'm ranking him S tier for now. He's extremely good. He's got pack leaders, and it's just a super easy time. Dehaka's little in the early game, and then by the time he's big, you don't really actually need to worry about dodging Twister or anything like that. It's just going to be a super easy time. You just drop pack leaders to clear each area, and you win. So I had him in S at the moment.
All right, what do you think, Joni?
Yeah, exactly the same. The only thing I'll add to that is I would be inclined, if you are mechanically strong enough, I'd be inclined to play P3, because then you can basically clear absolutely everything at the same time and have the map done in sort of under 10 minutes. It really is very straightforward with him. Yeah, S tier.
All right, straightforward it is. S tier for Dehaka. Fenix, where do we have him?
So Fenix, P2, very small, sort of condensed ball of power, which is absolutely ideal. I had a sort of asterisk in my mind around it, in terms of there is the only thing he's going to struggle with is getting units from his shell farm to his, to replace sort of fallen champions. I use struggle in the loosest possible sense of the term here. I mean, it's not going to be a massive complication, but it's something that's not free this week, because they are going to get slowed down at worst. So I mean, look, the reality to it is I don't think that knocks him out of A tier. He is incredibly powerful. Caldalis is absolutely going to earn his money this week. But when you are replenishing from your shell farm, it's just something where you will have to be aware that they're not just walking over an open map this week.
Or maybe they will be. I don't know. Letter.
Sorry, S tier.
S tier. What do you think, Edmund Home?
Yeah, I don't think the shell farm thing is too much of an issue, even because you just have a sentry, and the only person you're probably losing it consistently is Caldalis, and then you just have an extra zealot or two, and you can just keep warping those in. Of course, I guess you might get unlucky and it doesn't pick the right one, but you can also just recall. I mean, again, it's not a hard clearing map, so I think S tier pretty easily.
Okay. Both of you have. Wait. Did you put Phoenix in S tier?
Yes.
Okay. Put Phoenix in S tier. Prestige-wise, second one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Han and Horner. What do we have?
Han and Horner is fine.
Fine.
It's not a horribly difficult week. You have your strike fighter platforms that don't care about like any of the mutators really, which is nice for clearing. And your top bars, they have a very long cooldown, but you just do like one in the top left, one in the top right for your actual difficult clearing, and they'll clear out most of the stuff in those areas. So it's fairly smooth sailing, but it is still Han and Horner, so they're a little bit tougher than everyone else sometimes. So I had them in A tier.
What do you think, Joni?
Yeah, I mean, exactly the same views. I had them in B tier only because I think compared to Artanis, they have a slightly worse time, and I think it's like a notably slightly worse time than Artanis. Primarily because I think their top bar is not as powerful. However, is it? Sort of, I'm desperate for a bit of variety. I love the spice of life. So whether but I mean, show me the difference between A and B tier this week. I'm very happy to have them in A tier. I'm not gonna, certainly not gonna lose sleep over that one.
Okay. Imagine losing sleep over this mutation of all mutations. All right. Horner in A tier. Prestige wise, first one.
1 or 2, I'd say.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Karax, where do we have him?
I mean, once more, Karax is absolutely fine. Like, you're not having to really move anything around at all other than a couple of observers. I would suggest probably P3, top bar, sort of clear everything that you need to, and then, moving probes in through safe spaces in order to shore up on the actual locks themselves, whack a load of static down, and you're going to be off to the races. So, Karax, S tier.
S tier. What do you think, Abathur?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very easy week for Karax, even more so than some others. So yeah, I had him in S tier.
All
Pretty
right.
straightforward.
Yeah. Any prestige?
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
for the 3, you're gonna be doing your top bar is going to be doing the bulk of the work.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Third prestige is fine. Moving on. Kerrigan, where do we have him?
Kerrigan is actually pretty good this week as well. Her usually the only thing, or her biggest struggle commonly I should say, is if stuff happens before Kerrigan really comes out, and that's not a concern this week. So you kind of just bulldoze through everything with Kerrigan. She doesn't really care about any of the mutators. You have great mobility for getting to locks and whatnot with Omega Worms. And then any army you build on top of that is just kind of the cherry on top, but it's not even really necessary. So I had her in S tier.
What do you think, Joni?
Yeah, Kerrigan for me this week was sort of pretty near the top of S tier. Actually, I think her individual commander unit is so strong that in a map where in reality you're going to be finishing it around the 10-minute mark, pop a mobilization wave like once, twice if you need to, and that's kind of job done really. So not a lot to say really. Just hero solo this with Kerrigan. So S tier.
S tier. Prestige wise,
Probably P0, I would suggest.
no prestige.
You could go P2 as well, because like he said, you're finishing the map early enough on that you're probably not actually using a mobilization wave more than once or twice. So the downside of that isn't a huge deal. If you like P2, I think it's probably as good as P0, but you could go either one.
Yeah. Yeah, happy with that.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I guess we can go with that. I mean, it's not like it's gonna make her down to A tier if you don't use second prestige. Moving on. Nova, where do we have him?
So as with everyone really, I mean Nova plays completely normally, and if you're playing P3, then Nova's going to go ahead of your army and sort of soften everything up for you. If you are playing P1, then you have again a very small army that in reality is going to be able to maneuver around stuff pretty easily. So I think she's got multiple play style options on this. I sort of had a think and couldn't find any reason whatsoever not to put Nova in S tier with everyone else.
Okay. What do you think, Edmund?
Yeah, Nova's very strong this week. She's already pretty darn good at lock and load in general, and none of the mutators particularly hurt her. So yeah, S tier.
All right. Plus, she's one of those commanders that can force her ally to be at the locks, if you know what I mean.
That's true.
Moving on. Raynor, where do you have him?
Raynor is, still very good. But he's not as good as some of the others. His top bars are all right. His clearing capacity is fine. But if you're going BCs, it takes a little while to come online, and then if you're going for bio, then it hurts a little bit more with the mutators. So he's okay. He's not bad. I had him in A tier.
What do you think, Joni?
Yes, the same. I actually had him. I did have him a tier below Horner and Artanis actually, and the chief reason for that is because both of his top bar options are like material units. So there is sort of absolutely, and I fully appreciate Artanis does, as does Han and Horner, but like Raynor doesn't have anything that's not a unit. So he's on the map all the time. And again, I'm sort of splitting hairs here. I appreciate, but I was sort of desperately trying to delineate slightly. But I mean, yeah, he's still perfectly playable with really whatever comp you want. I think exactly like ET said, P3, P0, P1, take your pick. I had him in B tier just because I had him like a tier lower than Hull and Horner in particular. But like I'll throw it over to ET just because we'll see what he thinks. But I'm also not averse to like A tier as well. Yeah.
Okay, but
yeah, I mean, I'm fine with B tier. I mean, we need to have someone in there. So,
my Donnie, I have been replaced. Come on, Joni. I'm the one who throws it over to Edpunholm. Fine.
yes.
Sorry,
I'll let you do the throwing over this time because there's like nothing much to do
if you
yet.
let Brian do the announcing next week, you can go to bed early.
If only that works that way. Anyway, are you okay with B tier, Edpunholm?
Yeah, that's fine. Like I said, then someone's in B tier. You know, if he doesn't go in there, I don't think anyone is. So this way, you know, it's not just all A and S tier. You know.
Okay, I guess I'll also make the part later slightly easier. Let's move on. Stet Boy, where do we have him?
Stet Boy has Super Gary, and I think that's probably certainly all you need. So I sort of won't bang on about it really. Yeah, using the like Super Gary, I'm not overcharged. The extra stat zone that he employs is useful, but very, very straightforward with him indeed. S tier, P2.
What do you think, Edpunholm?
Yeah, Super Gary is very good, and this map is not very hard, so S tier.
S tier. Moving on. Oh, second prestige. Stukov, where do we have him?
Stukov is still S tier, don't get me wrong, but he is a little bit slower, at least if you're going P3 than some of the others. So I'd probably recommend just going P1. Environmentals also are a bit annoying for P3. You'll still win with it, don't get me wrong. It's just probably going to be a little slower than some others. So I would recommend P1, but it's still S tier either way, really. So yeah, S tier.
All right, S tier. What do you think, Joni?
I have him in A tier, and that is purely on the basis that I think P1 is the correct choice. However, it does mean, regardless of what you're doing with him, you are still like chucking a lot of material onto the map. You know, he's very strong in whatever guise you decide to play him, but I think that, you know, this is one of those ones where you're going to be moving like a bunch of units around the whole time, and it's sort of I just think that he is very much an army commander A tier, because I do think that he suffers in the same way that Artanis and Han and Horner and Raynor do, as opposed to everyone else.
What do you think about that, Edpunholm?
I don't know. I mean, I guess you have to put material on the board and all, but like it doesn't take that many Diamondbacks to do good work, and they can shoot while moving, so you can basically purely focus on just avoiding the red circles on the ground and whatnot, you know, and they're still going to do their damage. Yeah, I'd much rather be him over anyone else that we have in A tier at the moment. I think I don't know. I think the Diamondbacks aren't that hard to micro. And also his top bars are just, you know, Apocalypse on and Alexander for the act. There's only 2 areas that take remotely any effort to clear on this map. So you have both of those for that. Realistically, you probably have the Apocalypse twice in the course of the 12 minutes or whatever that this lasts you. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if he's stuck on A, that's fine, obviously. But I would put him in S. I think.
Yeah, the way this works is if it's not unanimous, it's not S. So, Joni, are you convinced with S tier?
I mean, the thing, I agree with everything that ET said. I just sort of there are a few factors just in terms of like Diamondbacks derping on each other when you're pushing up ramps, which I fully appreciate that you're probably going to top bar up the ramps in the first instance because there really only are 2. Like he is it's difficult this week because it's pretty reductive saying he is easy because everyone is. But I'm just not convinced. Like everyone in S tier this week, pretty much is like hero soloing, like in a way. Am I convinced? I don't want to let my natural anti Stukov bias get the better of me. I need to remain objective. Is he S tier?
Nobody hero solos
I
him
don't
up
know.
like Arcturus.
Yeah. That was another one which I was sort of borderline on, but
ESOs are a hero unit. Don't you know that?
well, exactly. I'm gonna stick to my guns on A tier. Actually, I think it's just that you get a time warp in the wrong place and it's a nuisance, and it is all material that you're simply not going to be able to avoid it in the same way you would with a hero unit. So my guns on this one. Sorry, I'm not convinced on S tier on this.
All right. This will make the later part a bit easier. Because, the reason we're just breezing through all these guys because we're going to have rankings later on. Moving on. Swann, what do we have him?
So Swann has lots of tools.
He's an engineer
however,
after all. Does have a lot of tools.
Well, quite. An entire belt of them, no doubt. I think that you've got plenty of stuff to deal with the map. None of it's sort of brilliant though, in terms of you're probably going to have to deploy units and push out at some stage. Like concentrated beam, well, all of his top bar are respectable. And then obviously if you decide to play P1, which I think is equally viable, then you're pushing with factories, which, again, absolutely fine. But it's going to take sort of ages. Pushing out with Wraiths, again, like build up Mass Wraith at some point. They will clump up because they're air units, so not too much of a drama. Very agile, obviously. However, with all of that being said, like that means not S tier from my point of view. So I've got him in A. Super viable, but just not, anyone that takes more than sort of 11 or 12 minutes on this is kind of not I kind of reckon. But
what do you think, Espenholm?
Yeah, I had basically the same opinion. Swann is very, very good, but he's one of, at least in my experience, he's one of the slower commanders to actually like come online and be good. He has a big wind up on his power level, so obviously you have the drill pretty quickly, but outside of that, yeah. So I had him in A tier.
All right. It wasn't that divided after all. Prestige-wise, first or second?
Yeah.
All right.
or even 0, I think. Yeah.
Even no prestige. That'll
Yeah,
work just
tier.
fine. Moving on. Tychus, where do we have him?
Tychus is Tychus. We were talking about hero solos, and no one does it better than him, really. So, yeah, top of S tier.
All right. What do you have to say, Joni?
Well, nothing that ET hasn't already said. If I'm honest, yeah, top of S tier, P2, super simple.
All right. There it is. Moving on. Vorazun, where do we have him?
Bottom of F tier. She's bugged, so you can't use time stop, so she's completely useless. No, I mean the reality to it is this is so easy. That even though time stop does activate everything at the same go, and you end up being sort of bum rushed by, everything on the map, guarding locks, etc. That still actually isn't too much of a drama on this. You can still very, very handily deal with it with her. You are, again, as with, you are having to deploy material on the map. Smallish groups of Dark Templars are fine. You get time stop absolutely loads. So even when stuff does come at you, you're able to deal with it. So I don't like. I genuinely kind of don't know, because it's like that's kind of my views.
Okay. What do you think, Espenholm?
I have a hot take, and that's that the bug doesn't really matter here. I feel like it only matters on mutators that are actually like remotely difficult. Um, you're gonna have the map done pretty quickly either way, so all the locks getting activated at once doesn't matter, and everything bum rushing you really shouldn't matter. And yeah, I don't think it actually makes it a huge difference this week. I think it can be a big deal on some mutators on the map, but for this one in particular, I don't think it matters much at all. So I still had her in A tier.
Okay. What do you think about A tier, Joni?
I mean, it's. I think it's a it's a sad indictment of how hard Raynor needs a buff. If if she's still the tier above him, I think I would. I mean, look. As I say, I totally agree that the reality is the bug doesn't make a huge amount of difference this week. It is going to slow you down, and you are going to need to compensate for the fact that stuff is going to trickle towards all of the locks all the time. I think she's B tier at best on that basis. But like, yeah, I mean, she is not in reality like a million miles beneath everyone else.
So
B tier's
here?
fine with me. Yeah, that works.
here. Okay.
Her tier's been deleted. Vorazun is being removed from the tier list this week.
Yes. She's totally deleted. She's cloaked. So what, A tier?
I guess we're going
Or
with
B.
B. I mean, that's fine. Poor Raynor, you know. It probably would feel kind of bad if Vorazun still got placed above him. So I'm fine with that.
Okay. So B. Alright. B is actually not bad. So third prestige. She has 1 prestige. Moving on. Zagara. Where do we have him?
Zagara is quite good this week. I would go P3 because again, hero solos, you know, may as well. And P3 is more fun.
It's more fun in the Philippines.
If I'm being honest. So yeah, P3, pretty easy time. S tier, yeah. I mean, it's not a hard week.
What do you think, Joni?
Yeah, absolutely. Like Zagara is versatile enough that she, you know, her skills effectively present her top bar, and they do pretty well. So very happy with S tier. She is with P3 she is actually very good.
Okay, S tier. Okay. It might just barely fit in the box. Zeratul. Where do we have him?
S tier because he's really good. I would be inclined to play P3.
What do you think, Espenholm?
Yeah, P3 week. Very, very straightforward, very easy. Yeah, easy time. S tier.
All right, let's see if it fits. It does!
Hey,
Yay!
you did it perfectly.
So it was all planned out.
Calculated. All right. That's all the commanders. Do we have a double S tier?
A double S tier. I had like 6 double S tiers.
6.
It's not a
Yeah.
hard week. Folks like Tychus, you kind of just walk through the map as normal. Karax, you kind of just top bar everything in cannon as normal. Dehaka, you just walk through the map, and pack leader as normal. I had Alarak in there because again, Mama and Alarak, just the two of them. You know, you're basically dual hero solo. What else?
Stetmann as well, I would say on there.
Stetmann, Zeratul,
And Kerrigan as well, actually.
yeah, Kerrigan.
So 7 guys?
It's
7 guys?
Yeah, more than not, realistically.
yeah.
I think.
It is. There are so many commanders this week who simply play exactly as normal.
So
And hey, this way, it's a nice even distribution over 4 tiers instead of one heavily loaded tier, you know?
that will make it easier later on. All right,
You
so
want a balance here, you know?
so with the power of movie magic, we now have more double S than single S. My Donnie. Although that does
I mean,
make the ranking easier. Who's top of double S?
at least it looks like a tier list now.
Hey,
Yeah.
it does.
I mean, I would put Tychus at the top.
Yeah,
Out-
Tychus.
Out of everyone, he literally plays like normal.
I'd say Zeratul next to him, but yeah, Tychus on top.
Then
And then
And Stetmann,
Dehaka.
probably.
Sorry,
Or
yes, Stetmann, Dehaka.
Then Dehaka,
Yeah.
Kerrigan, probably, and then
Karax and then Alarak.
Yeah, happy with that.
all right, who's top of S tier?
Mm,
Probably Abathur.
yeah, probably Abathur. I mean, as per sort of like Nova, Phoenix, I would probably put over Zagara and Arcturus, but yeah, that looks pretty right to me. What do you reckon, ET?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay, and then who's top of A tier?
I'd say Stukov.
Yeah, I'd probably say Stukov, and then probably Artanis, and then the other two. I do think Artanis is stronger than the other two this week.
Yep, works for me.
So Swann or Han and Horner?
I'd say Han and Horner. They do
Probably-
come online
yeah.
pretty quickly, so
Yeah.
Okay, so who's top of B tier?
I think
I mean-
Vorazun.
Vorazun?
Yeah, go on. If we keep kicking Raynor when he's down, then he might get buffed.
Assuming anyone still pays attention to
Hey,
whatever we
didn't
rank
the-
commanders.
The actual Blizzard team did the most recent balance patch on the 1v1 stuff, so that hasn't happened in years. So you never
Yeah.
know.
And there are
Yeah.
fewer 1v1 players than there are co-op players. So
Yeah.
Exactly. We are the real core.
we are the real game. The 1v1 is just like some side project that people love talking about, but nobody actually plays. Okay.
So
All
surely,
right.
Raynor buff,
Raynor buff.
return to double mule or something.
You know what? What would make Raynor a double S this week? Would double mule put him at double S?
Realistically, probably, yeah.
Would it?
Because you're trying to go so quickly. Because you're trying to go so quickly on this map is like one of the real rankings here isn't even necessarily like how good are you at the mutation, it's how fast can you beat it. Only needing to build your initial, expansion to get 4 mules at a time.
If we're only going by speed, then Stetmann should be the top of double S because he's like
I'm not saying
8-minute
only. I'm
guy.
just saying it's a combination thereof. Whereas normally, how fast you can beat it, I'd say, is a little less important. But because it's not particularly difficult, there's a little more emphasis on that on this one.
I think for
Maybe a little more next to that, but I think double mule would get him pretty close.
I
'Cause
think
again,
for
then you don't have to worry about building any extra CCs, and you still have plenty of eco.
I think for Raynor to be double S, the Hyperion needs to have a third prestige, or an Alarak third prestige type of situation, where you can just buy it as early as possible, or you can just buy it and have a permanent unit. That's I think what would
That'd be
take
pretty sick.
for Raynor
Yeah.
to be a double S guy, because it's been proven with
Hero
Alarak.
solo.
Yes, that's basically
Yeah.
for me at least, what would put Raynor
I
at a
think that
double
makes
S. Okay, I guess that's what we have for now. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. If you have an idea for it also, please leave it in a comment. I will see you guys next time.